G'day everyone and welcome to my Rose Cup preview. We're going to be going through a bunch of battles. We're also going to look at the Rose Cup in some of the meta and some of the mons. So you can see here no pink, red, purple or grey Pokemon. There's a few restrictions there. A bit of more of a closed meta than Fusion, so we'll get into the Pokemon. So PvPoke has Machamp, Gliscor, Blaziken, Medicham, Skarmory, Marowak, Charizard as the top few. So there's a bunch of favourites here that we should have used in other cups. So things like Sableye, Propass, Steelix, Zard, obviously Medicham, things like Drapion, Clefable are there, some people really like them, Wigglytuff. So we go down the list, we've got even Machoke there later. But this is going to be a cup that's going to kill your TMs, especially if you don't have that cross-chop Rock Slide Machamp. It's going to cost you a lot, so think about that before you get into your Pokemon. So Game Press have released their Meta Simplified guide here. Fairly heavily revolving around fighters, tanks, and then anti-fighters. But there are a lot of other picks, as you can see there on the right, with sort of the Gliscor, Rhyperior, yeah, all things there. So we'll get into the battles. And one thing to notice about Gliscor is he has to bait to get the Earthquake to win. So it's a bit of a risky thing. I think a lot of people will be talking about that. But here we go. So we get a... I know, we're just going blind here. I'm playing against Not Randy Newman. We've got a lot of sort of different varied Pokemon and different teams. So obviously Propass is going to farm down that Charizard, but then here we go, Medicham's going to farm down the Propass. So it can be, there can be some really close matchups, but it can be quite polarizing. Like same as Fusion Cup, there's some really hard counters to things, and if you just rotate between those hard counters, you're either going to lose by a lot or you're going to win by a lot, or they're going to be very close to the mirror matches and no one really gets the massive advantage. And yeah, so I guess you got to decide sometimes if you'd rather switch advantage or shield advantage in some of these matchups. So you see here I'm just going to get absolutely destroyed in this first match, hard countered, not across the board but pretty close. So maybe if I had shielded that Blast Burn onto my Clefable, it might have gone a bit better. But that's right. So you can see here we get good lead, and then we've got to get out of here. So a bit of bad lag, and a lot of these battles actually is a bit frustrating. So I thought I'd be trying out my Plant Wormadam. I'm like, oh yeah, should go pretty well against the Fighting type, right? You can see we get a little bit of lag here as well. But he really doesn't. That Psychic subtyping of Medicham, yeah, really makes it hard, and especially with the slow energy generation on Wormadam. These bug buzzers are just not gonna cut the grass. Anyway, so we do fortunately just get to another bug buzz, so still either kill him or take his last shield, and he chooses to shield. So that's a pretty good result for us. I'm thinking, okay. But then I look at what it got in the back, and it's how you say, not so good. So depending on what his last Pokemon is in the back will sort of determine how the rest of this matchup goes. So Infestation, just to buff up that bite damage. Sorry, not Infestation. Sorry, Fell Stinger. And so Skarmory, so that's not great. It's going to KO Blaziken here. So this is game over. Obviously I had got to a Blast Burn quick enough. I would have definitely come away with the win. But not in this case. So you can really see how much that, double buff Fell Stinger can actually do. It's pretty nice. Anyway, so moving on to the third matchup. So I'm down 0-2, 0 wins against Not Randy Newman. So switch into, obviously this is going to be a nice hard counter to Skarmory, the Steelix. Don't have to worry about too much, but I do a dumb thing here and throw an Earthquake. And Crunch is clearly the more energy efficient option. I don't think it really changes too much. As I clicked it, I was like, oh, you idiot. So smart. So I wisen up here and just go for the Crunches. It's clearly going to do a lot more inefficient damage, I should say. So we're just going to keep going through these slow match. Skarmory, fortunately none of these videos we get a Skarmory mirror, but I can see that happening a little bit in this cup. I think Skarmory being quite a fan favourite, a lot of people are going to want to bring him out. So get a Crunch onto this Medicham, and he shields it up, so that's great news for us. So Haunter is just absolutely going to go to town on this. Quickly get out of there, back into our Skarmory, throw the Sky Attacks. So last shield down, so we know Medicham is dead to one Shadow Punch. No need to charge up to the Shadow Ball. So this Flash Cannon's going to insta-KO Wigs. And now Sky Attack would finish off the Medicham here. Probably could have just gone Sky Attack and then Sky Attack on the Medicham as well. Probably would have done enough, but wasn't worried. I knew he had Haunter in the back. So yeah, the Ghost types, I don't know, yeah, they're quite prevalent. We ended up having a fair few little ghosts in there, and I was fortunate I've got the Legacy Haunter, so the Shadow Ball's real, right? So we're going to try and bait out with the Shadow Punch and get to a second Shadow Punch here, but he doesn't choose to shield, which I was like, oh, interesting. And then, well, he's going to be forced to shield here, otherwise Drift Bloom is in serious trouble. So nice shiny flexing on the not reading humans part, you know. And now this is an interesting pick. It's obviously not in the top 20 or so Mons. Laron, I really liked him in my what was the Cup of 4 fusion? One with Alola Ninetales that was charming everything. Anyway, whatever that cup was, Laron was my boy. He really did well. And obviously we've got Fortress is an interesting pick. Another shiny. Jeez, not really human with the shinies. Yeah, he's not quite as dominant as sort of in Jungle Cup, like with all the extra fighting moves and a lot of other Mons out there. Yeah, not quite as a Wrecking Ball, but I mean he's still got plenty of options. Like he's still a great Mon. He'll do well. Just obviously you got to keep him away from those fighting types and also the flying types, to be honest. So maybe he's not as like a pseudo tank. I'm gonna call him a pseudo tank. So here we can see. I'm just gonna try out the Gliscor. We get a shield, which I was like, yes, it's great, but without Earthquake. Gliscor's really not going to do too much. I mean, you can see he goes alright here in the one shield. We actually, I think in the end we CMP tie, so these Sand Tombs are going to keep reducing the defense of Steelix, who's got a heap of defense. And you can see there we just CMP tie, so that probably would have, that Sand Tomb would have actually taken out Steelix. So yeah, that was interesting. I thought it would do much worse. Well, I was hoping it would do better, but I thought it would do worse. This is in the one shield, obviously. So we shield out that crunch. I wanted to make sure it wasn't an Earthquake, and it was just a crunch, so just a bit of a bummer, but that's okay. So you'll see here, Steelix is actually really weak to Charizard. One Blast Burn will pretty much KO, even though he's sub-ground type. That Steel typing just not so good. So I threw in our Charizard here to try and catch that Blast Burn, but it didn't really go as well as we'd hoped. So we're going to need to land this Blast Burn, have any chance. No shields left, so his Charizard, unfortunately, he's farmed up some energy, and my Steelix is within kill range of his Blast Burn, so that's the end of the game. Oh gosh, what are we up? Is that 3-all? I think it's 3-all. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're all practicing. So we're just throwing out heaps of different Mons in the meta to see what we can come up with. Beautiful thing here is Haunter can just farm up a ton of energy. It's going to take no damage from these counters. And unfortunately, we CMP tied. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go. He wasn't throwing any charge moves. I'll just throw one. Obviously, I would have been better than just to shield and then charge up even more energy, but that's life. So we're going to get to a third Shadow Punch here, but we CMP tie. I've never had so many CMP ties. It's crazy. So we let Haunter go down because we've got a really, really hard counter here in Pro Pass. Assuming Medicham, yeah. So we get the Medicham. So we hard countered. Now we get hard countered. It's a tough world out there. But you can see here, sorry, on the left of the screen, we've got the picks for Gen 3 and 4. Earlier we had the picks for Gen 1 and 2. There's some Mons we would have seen in the back. Interesting to see. So they've put in Shield on? Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's going to be way too low CP to actually use, and everyone would love to use Bastard on because he's one of the favourite tanks, anti-flyers. So we end up getting the win there. The sort of Rock Throw was enough just to take down. Now, this is an interesting matchup I was wanting to see. how much damage do we take from this ice beam and ice punch, and how much damage do we do with an aerial ace? Is it close, you know? And it's not. Aerial ace is weak. It really doesn't do enough, and we're too slow. Even with Fury Cutter, we're too slow to charge up to beat him to a second ice punch. So maybe if we had gone the Sand Tomb bait, you might be able to get there, but even then I think counter's just going to do so much more damage. So now we've got a double dark finisher with the fighter out of the way. Unusual strat, I can accept that, but he has a double ghost. So this is looking like it's kind of in our favour here. Probably should have gone the Aqua Tail there, but he didn't shield, so yeah, I mean that probably would have been the game if he didn't shield and I went the Aqua Tail, but so we choose to let Drapion go down. He's done a fair bit of damage, and we've got Skunk Tank versus Drift Bloom, and he's got 2 shields and we've got 1. So obviously we're going to resist all. If he's got Shadow Ball and Ominous Wind, we're going to resist it, and we're just going to need to get the crunches. So he looks like he's going Ominous Wind just to get the debuff. The buff, sorry. And if he gets the buff, it's pretty much over. But if he doesn't, I should be in control here. So one more Ominous Wind there, and he's got another one in the bank, so we'll shield it up. And I think he gets the buff. He gets the buff on the last one after all his shields are down, and so my crunches didn't come through. So yeah, that was. I was not expecting double ghost, and I'm sure he wasn't expecting double dark. All right, so we get an interesting match here: tank versus tank. Later on, we should have Rock Throw and Body Slam. When I've got Rock Throw and Magnet Bomb. So he switches out into Nidoking, and I shouldn't have done this way. Nidoking is going to have the Earth Power, which is going to rip Probopass, which is going to rip Blaziken. Obviously, he's not too tanky, so he's going to take a lot of damage. But these Earth Powers are just, they charge up very fast with that Fury Cutter, so kind of like an anti-tank sort of situation here. And this is where I make a huge mistake. I just figured he, didn't have anything else, but the Sludge Wave, RIP. So I'm left with Probopass with 1 shield against Medicham. That's over. So I probably shouldn't have even thrown any charge moves. I should just let this one go, because that's too far. Alright, so we've still got a couple matches to go, so not a good situation here for a little old Haunter. Half health, you got to insta switch there. That was a fairly large mistake on my part. So even though Aqua Tail is super effective, it's really not that hard hitting. So if I have any chance of resurrecting this match, I have to get a shield. And obviously, Medicham doesn't need to shield there. So if this is an Ice Punch, Haunter's dead. So I have to shield up. Now, I could probably have tried to go for the farm there, to be honest. Haunter's going to do a lot of damage. I should have at least got a couple more hits to get that energy. So we get out of there straight away. We know Haunter's got no chance against that Drapion. Gliscor in the back, and he's got Charizard, so this one's over. Gliscor is I need Earthquake on it to really test it out properly. But I guess Earthquake's going to hit hard on some things, and it's good to use Aerial Ace as a bait, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that it's right for me. I'm sure there's going to be heaps of guys who will absolutely tear with it. Guys who are much more skilled at getting baits and things than I am. And here we can see the last generation, so 5, 7, and 8 picks that are available. Could be some interesting stuff in there. Maybe, oh no, we don't have Heatmore. Durant, I don't think Durant's going to have too much to do. I don't think there's going to be too much in Gen 5 that'll really come out solid in this cut. Maybe Excadrill is a tank killer and also flying, not really, and fairy killer, sorry. So, yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's get back to these matches. Probably not in the best spot here, so we'll let our Haunter go down, because we've got this pretty hard counter in Probopass. I think I'm using Probopass a lot, because I was using it in Fusion Cup, so it's kind of, I knew what I could do with him, and I felt comfortable. When you feel comfortable with the Pokemon, and when you don't feel comfortable with him? When they pull out a Medicham. So he gets the Nidoking. Probably should have just thrown the rock throw, but that's alright. He chooses not to shield up. It's going to be an earth power, so we'll let our Propass go down, and we can just go for the win with our Charizard in the back with these Firewheel? Flame Spin? Oh, far out. Not Ember, that's sure for sure. I think it's Fire Spin. Alright, this is our last match now, guys, so we get a classic Medicham Skarmory. Anyone who does freestyle will know this. As you can see, I get a fair bit of lag here. I'm not sure exactly how many I'm down. Counters, maybe 2. I'm going to say 2 counters I'm down. So we try and throw the Ice Punch for the bait. We don't get it. So we're just going to go Ice Punches now. And do a quick switch to catch this Sky Attack, which probably isn't the smartest idea. Half a Charizard's help. And he brings out his own Charizard. So he's going to throw a Dragon Claw here, which is very nice because it forces me to waste my last shield or let it go, all that energy. So we go to Blast Burn, he shields that up. Trying to get to another Dragon Claw, but he knows that he could get one just before me, so that'll finish me off. Now I've left with Sableye and Medicham. Not a great situation, so we go to Medicham to throw this Ice Punch. I think he was going up for a Blast Burn there, getting a little bit extra energy. And we just kill with Medicham. So now we've got Sableye against Skarmory and Drifloon. Now, obviously, we're going to take a fair bit of damage from that. So this is close to over, but he switches, which allows me to farm down Skarmory. And I've just got to get to a second foul play, 1 hit, and we're a foul play. And so that's going to take out the Drifloon. So, end up with the win there, Shiny Bluff Drifloon. So thanks heaps, not Randy Newman. Guys, check out this cup, get into it, get involved, and we'll see you later.